Okay, I'm live. Hello everyone. Whoever's there in this live, can you all hear me? Okay, so anyone who can hear me, just y'all can put whatever y'all want in the comment section. I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Sanjana Das. I'm a physics teacher and I've been teaching physics for past 5 years. And yeah, welcome to Letstute. Hi Aditi, how are you? Hope you're doing well. You can just tell me your name. I think it's Aditi, right? Whatever you all want, whatever you want, good evening. So, whatever you want, if you have any doubt, you can put it in the comment section. The best thing about this is I've been teaching physics for past 5 years, so I sort of know the important questions and all. Okay, this is your school account. Okay, fine, no problem. We are going to start. We are going to start a very important topic. Do you know the name of the topic, by the way? Before me teaching you, do you know what topic we are going to do today? By any chance? Any chance? What topic are we doing today? Okay, no idea. I'll tell you. You can just type it, whatever it is, whatever doubts you have, or whatever thoughts you have. You can just put it in the chat box because I can read. I can read the chat box. So if you have any doubt, force and pressure. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Today we are doing force and pressure. Now, in force and pressure, first of all, I'm not going to do both the topics. Hello, everyone, whoever's there. We are doing a topic called as force and pressure, but just not force and pressure. It's just force that we are doing. Pressure is a topic I felt that we cannot mix two important topics. So why not just teach force? And with force, the next topic, that is pressure, I'll teach some other time. I'll teach pressure in the next lecture. Today we'll just do force. In force, what is force? I think you know the definition of force. What do you mean by force? What do you mean by what's the definition of force? Do you know what's force and what's the definition of force? Anyone here who knows the definition of force, just put it in the chat box. Whatever is force ka definition, just quickly put it in the chat box. I want to see how much you all know, because I'm going to teach you. I'll tell you. Yes. What's the definition of force? Come on, who knows the answer will type it in the chat box, the definition of force. Come on, I just want to see who does it better, who does it faster. Okay. Force is a push and pull. Yeah, you're correct. Force is a push or pull. That's the concept we are going to look to. What is force and how is it related? First, let me just quickly share the screen with you because it's slightly important. The topic is slightly important. Grade 8 ka force and pressure. Now, out of that, I am not going to explain pressure today. I'm just going to explain force because I feel force and pressure, two topics together, would be difficult. Rather, just explain what is force. What is the definition of force? What are the examples of force? What are the types of force? So, all of these concepts, I'm planning to teach it to you today. Okay, so let's just quickly start with the you can say definition of force. Okay, let's just start with force. So a force is a push or pull. Aditi, give yourself a round of applause. Quickly give yourself a round of applause because you're absolutely correct. A force is a push or pull acting on a body, and that push or pull is called as force. For your class, because you're in grade 8, for a grade 8 student, the definition of force that you should know is it's a push or a pull. It's either, the best thing is you cannot see force. The biggest thing that you have to remember is that you cannot see force. Okay, bio teacher. I am not exactly sure. I'll just do one thing. I'll talk to my team. I think I know who it is, but I'm not sure whether that's the person. So I'll see. I'll talk. Um, we are going to talk about what is force. We know for an eighth grader, remember when you're writing an exam, it can come for 2 marks or 1 mark. 2 mark or 1 mark ke liye, they are going to directly ask you define push or define force. Just write this, guys. You all don't have to write anything more. Just write a force is a push or pull. That's it. That's it. It's a push or pull acting on a body. You'll get your 1 mark. Then they'll ask you types of force. I'm going to come to that. But for now, force is a push or pull. Now, who applies force? So force can be applied by both living and non-living things. Living things के लिए सीधा सीधा example a boy pushing an object. That can be a thing. Non-living things applying force is if you see wind applies force. Then if you have a spring and if you're stretching the spring tries to come back. So the spring is applying a force. So living and non-living things both can apply force. Okay. Some examples are to kick a ball, to pick a book. Now one thing is very important. I'm just going to write it here, Aditi. If you want, you can write it. I don't know whether this is being done in your school or no, but I'll try to like go through that point of view that it's not done. So remember, you cannot see force. So force is invisible. But one good thing that can happen is that you can, what do you call it? Feel force. You can feel force or you can feel its effects. So one thing that you should know, if you have a book, I don't know whether you have a book with you or no, but if you have a book with you, first of all, write down the definition of force. That is, a force is a push or a pull acting on a body. Point number one, write down the definition of force quickly. Once you're done, or if you are writing it, just put it in the chat box. Okay, because point number one, if I'm teaching you just like we do it in schools and all, first thing that you should know is that you should know the definition of force. So a push or a pull, I know you have written it down, but as a jaldi say, just write it as the form of a note. Okay, so a force results in an interaction between the object. So to apply a force, the interaction between an object is very important. Just remember, Aditi, it comes in your exam. Interaction between object, this is there in your NCRT as well. This word interaction between objects is there in your NCRT. It means that for force to take place, there has to be an interaction. Now that interaction can be either touching the objects or, trying to apply field and all. To understand this concept, what do you mean by interaction between objects? If let's take this example and say there is a box kept here only, and the boy is just looking at that box and he's thinking that the box should be the box should go behind, the box should go behind. As long as he doesn't go and push the box, as long as there is no interaction, the force will not act. Are you getting it? Like, did you understand the interaction? Yes, contact. Very good. There should be a contact. If there isn't any contact, then the force isn't acting. So, for the force to act, and just not physical contact, okay? Even interaction means, let's say, if you have a magnet, if this is the North Pole and if there is a South Pole. So, here, maybe the magnets are physically not interacting, but their magnetic field is interacting. So that's why the South Pole is going to come near the North Pole. So a force is a push or pull. And in an object, interaction is very important between the objects for the force to act. Okay. Then comes what are the basics? Now, one thing you all have to know. Force is a vector quantity. Do you know what's a vector quantity, Aditi? What do you mean by a vector quantity? What do you think is a vector quantity? Okay, I'm waiting for you. Just remember that a force is a vector quantity. vector quantity means, I'm waiting for your answer. By the time you're doing that, just remember that force is a vector quantity. It depends on the magnitude of the force and the direction. Chalo, I gave you a hint. It depends on direction. Actually, you don't know it. Chalo. There are two types of quantities, scalars and vectors. Scalars are when something does not have a direction. Matlab, if I'm trying to say that, oh, there is mass, this object has some mass. So if I wait from here, still it will have mass. I turn it, and if I wait from here, still it will have mass. That is, it does not depend on the direction. But force is not like that. Force depends on direction. See, that's the reason there is a push and a pull. If there is an object, you want to move it like this, but you are pushing it. So how will it work? It will not work now. It will not move. There is a wall here. You want the object to move like this, but you're pushing it here. That is, you're applying force, but you're applying it in a wrong direction. So because you're applying the force in a wrong direction, the body is not moving. So here direction is very important for force. Because direction is very important, we say that force is a vector quantity. So if you are writing it, wait. So if you are writing it, write down force depends on first magnitude and second direction. Force depends on magnitude and direction. They both are important. Magnitude is the value. So if this person is applying 5 Newton force and this person is also applying 5 Newton force. Now both of them, if you see, he is pulling it, he is pushing it, but both of them are applying the force in the same direction. So because both of them are applying the force in the same direction, the 5 plus 5, the total force would be 10 Newton. So magnitude is 5, this value, 5. And here, because there is no symbol, this means both of them are going in same direction. So therefore, if they both were in the opposite direction, then it would have been plus 5 minus 5. But because they are not going in different directions, both of them are going in the same direction, it would be 5, 5. So remember, force depends on both magnitude and direction. So I hope you've written it down. When forces applied on an object are in the same direction. See, now based on directions, there are two cases. First, when the forces are applied in the same direction. And second, when the forces are applied in the opposite direction. If the forces are applied in the same direction, see here forces applied here, here also forces applied here. The plus 5 is equal to plus 10. So when two or more forces are applied in the same direction, the net force is the addition of the magnitude of both the forces. Why addition of magnitude? Because both of them are in the same direction, so it's getting added. You must have done this. If your friend is trying to pull something, you go and try to pull it. So the box will try to stop. Why? Because force is applied in the opposite direction. But if you try to push it and both of them are applying force in the same direction, then you say that, okay, here it is adding up. So, yes. Okay, fine. So, this was forces ka. One more concept that you should know is what happens if the force are not in the same direction. That is, if the forces are in the opposite direction. Now, whoever knows this answer can tell me. There are two people. He's pushing it from here. He's pushing it from here. This is plus 5. This is minus 5. Can you all tell me what is the final force? What is the total magnitude? Remember, what is the total force? This person is applying force in this direction. This person is applying force in this direction. That is plus 5 Newton minus 5 Newton. What is the resultant force? Give it a try. What is the resultant force? Anyone who wants to give it a try. There's plus 5 and there's minus 5. There are two forces acting, but they are not in the same direction. They both are in the opposite direction. This is in the plus 5 direction. This is in the minus 5 direction. So what would be the resultant force? To take a help, you can take this sentence ka help. What happens when forces are in the opposite direction? Very good. Very good, Aditi. The answer is 0. Very good, Aditi. The answer is 0. Anyone else who wants to try? Remember, one force is in plus 5 direction, another is in minus 5. So plus 5, minus 5, they cancel each other. And finally, the answer that you get is 0 Newton. So the resultant force is 0. Okay. Now, after this, then comes the question, what are the different effects of force? Now, for the different effects of force, this is an important question that comes in your exam. State the effects of force. This is an important 3-mark question that can come. So please go through the topics. Remember, forces can be used in a lot of different things. First is to bring a object. See, if there is a football line, you go and you kick the football. So the football starts moving. So force can bring an object which was at rest in motion. Then ulta, if there is an object which is moving and it goes and you try to stop the object. So when you're trying to stop the object, now the object comes at rest. So we can say the force brought a moving object to rest. So if someone questions you, what are the effects of force? Yes. Hi, Jeswaran. Good evening. Jeswaran, we are doing the topic force and pressure. And in force and pressure, we are doing the topic force. Now, in force, just remember one thing. I have already explained what is force. It's a push or pull. What are the two factors in which force is dependent on, or important things in which force is dependent on? That is the magnitude and the direction. Force is dependent on magnitude and direction. Now I'm doing one more 3-mark question that can come in your exam. That is, what are the effects of force? So the effects of force, my first is, I'm just going to write it down here. If you all want, you all can copy it in your exam. Force can bring an object from rest to motion. If a body is at rest, you kick it, the body moves. So the body can go from rest to motion. Second point that you can write is that, yes, second point that you can write is that force can bring a moving body or a body at motion to rest. Now, this is when you're trying to hold a ball. I think you must have done it when you catch a ball, okay, or when you're trying to stop something. If there's something moving and you just like want to stop it, so you apply force so that the moving body stops. So that is also an effect of force. I repeat, I kept on repeating, force is invisible. You cannot see force. So because you cannot see force, the only thing that you can do is you can feel its effects, or you can observe its effects. So you cannot see force, but you can see its effects. Its effects matlab rest body in motion, moving body at rest. Force can actually change the shape also. Wait, I'll just write it here. If I don't know if you've ever done this, clay is there, and when you're trying to press your thumb in that clay, you know that the clay is going to bend. So what is happening here is the shape of the body is changing. The shape of the body is changing when you're applying force. So force can change the shape of an object. And anything else that force can do, if you have anything, any answer? Guys, if you all know any effect of force, see, first is from rest to motion, second is from motion to rest, then it changes the shape. I can give you one more example. I hope you'll understand after this. I was riding a bicycle. It was moving with a speed. Now I'm applying more force. So if when I'm applying more force, obviously I'm covering more distance. Now why does that happen? Applying force also changed what? Applying force changed what? Applying force changed what? What do you think? Okay, I'll tell you. Applying force changed the speed of the object. So force can change shape, force can change the speed of the object, force can also change the direction. Point number 5. Force can change the direction of the object. These are some of the topics that you have to write. See, it can be a 3-mark question, but these are some of the topics that you have to write. Otherwise, you will not get marks. Yes, yes, making dough, you're changing shape, na Jeswaran. That's why. So yes, making a dough is applying force because you're changing the shape. So yes, you can say that. So also direction. See, if you're trying to move, achanak say if like there's a diversion, so you try to change the steering wheel. So you're changing the direction. So in the steering wheel also, I'll just do it here. If there's a steering wheel, and if you want the steering wheel to rotate, there also you're applying force. So what you're doing is you're changing the direction. So these are some of the uses of force. See, it's given. Uh, from a body at rest to a body moving. So stationary lawn mover को move करने के लिए it will require force. Then footballer uses it to change direction. Yes, changing direction is also important. If you've seen, I don't know if you've seen, but spinners use force to spin the ball. Then cyclist uses to change the speed. And your wala, Jeswaran, I guess I took your name wrong. Jeswaran, the one which you said, dough wala. Apply force to change the shape of the dough. So these all are effects of force. It comes in your exam, not kidding. But let's do the last topic for the day. That is the different types of force. Remember, there can be 2 types of force. There can be contact force and non-contact force. So contact force is when the bodies are coming in contact. Best example for contact force is muscular force. Muscular force is when you're trying to raise heavy objects, when you're trying to apply your muscles into it. That is called as muscular force. If you want to raise a heavy object, if you see, if you want to raise this heavy object, you have to touch it and then you have to move it. That is, there would be, yes, that is, there would be touching or contact involved. Therefore, this is called as a contact force. So different types of force may this, even this can come for your exam as a 3-mark question. I'm just telling you because these type of questions come in your exam. You can just check your textbook as well for these kind of questions. So one is in contact forces, the forces that come into in action after interaction between the objects. There is an interaction, there is a point of contact between the object. For example, kicking a ball. So your leg and the ball has to come in contact. Only when your leg and ball come in contact, we'll say that it's muscular force is applied, and that is contact force. So when you're trying to raise, so you all can just write down muscular force ka definition if you want. The force resulting because of action of muscles is called as muscular force. So now if I'm raising a heavy object, I'm just holding my phone also. I'm applying muscular force, so it's a contact force. Second is friction. The friction is the worst when you are falling down on a ground. I still remember I fell on a concrete ground and I just scratched my chin very badly. Even now, I have that thing. I have a scar. So what happened was I rubbed through the what you can say the concrete floor. So when you rub through the concrete floor, what happens is due to friction, there is a wound created. Now, what is friction? So frictional force arises between two surfaces. If there are two surfaces, there is friction between the two surfaces. Always acts on a moving object and its direction is always opposite to the direction of motion. So now if the ball is moving forward, the friction will always try to stop the ball. So the friction is always moving in the opposite direction. So force of friction comes into action only after interaction between two objects. Thus, it's a contact force. Why? Because friction will be applied only when the ball is coming in contact with the ground. If the ball is in Hava and then the ball is trying to fly or move, then the ground ka friction will not have any use. So the bodies have to be in contact and friction is sort of like an opposing force. Last is non-contact force. So non-contact mein first is that you should know is magnets, second is electrostatic, and third is gravitational. So magnets mein if you bring the north pole together, okay. If you're bringing the north, wait, I'll just take another picture. If you're bringing the north pole and the north pole closer, okay, when you're bringing them closer, what happens is that like poles repel. So when the like poles are repelling, they try to go away from each other. So here if you notice, no one has touched the magnets. There is no touch of the magnet, and because there is no touch of the magnet, we'll say that this kind of force is non-contact force. I think you've done this in your magnetic effect of electric current. If you've done effects of electric current topic in your grade 7, then you have this. And even if you don't have it there, uh, in your 6th standard, I remember Fun with Magnets chapter was there. Even there we had this. So I think you'll know about it. Magnetic force is a type of force. It's a non-contact force. What can come in your topics or in your exams is they are going to give you North Pole, or North Pole, South Pole, and they are going to tell you how does it behave. So remember, if two unlike poles are closer, if two unlike if two unlike poles are closer, uh, are coming closer, then it's attraction, and if two like poles are going away from each other, then it's repulsion, and that is due to magnetic force. For writing for writing, obviously, to write we are using muscular force, but to make the ink work, na Jaiswaran, friction is very important. Friction won't work, sorry, the pen won't work if there's no friction. It is the friction between the paper and the nib of the pen because of which ink flows out. Otherwise there won't be. So for writing, hand uses your simple hand uses muscular force, but your paper and the nib, they use simple frictional force. Then comes electrostatic. I think you all know about it. If you all don't know, just like magnets, two like charges also repel and unlike charges attract. So here the only difference between magnets and electrostatic in general, in basic is just remember that here they are charges, and here they are, and there they were poles, North Pole and South Pole. But the basics is same. Two North Poles repel, same way to plus repel, to minus repel, but opposites attract. Now this is because of electricity. These are all electric wala charges. That's why this force is called as electrostatic force. And last but not the least, another type of non-contact force is gravitational force. So gravitational force is also a non-contact force. So with this, before ending the topic, let me tell you what I have taught you. Wait, I'll do it here. A quick revision. So in revision, I have taught you what is force. You all can just go through the topic, the definition of force, push or pull, Then I've explained what are the factors affecting force, or what are the constituents of force. The force consists of magnitude and direction. Then after that, after magnitude and direction, we understood the effects of force. So force changes from rest, an object from rest to motion, then vice versa. Then it changes shape, then it changes speed, then finally force changes direction. After that, if they ask you what are the different types of force, remember contact, non-contact. Contact के अंदर it would be your frictional force and muscular force. So muscular and friction. And non-contact में obviously magnetic, electrostatic, electrostatic, and gravity. With this, the topic ends. Electrostatic force का example you want, Jaswaran. Electrostatic force का example is when you're taking a scale and you rub it on your hair, and then you bring it near the scraps of paper, the paper goes up. So that is also an example of electrostatic force. So any more questions? Because I am out of time. But do you have any questions? Any questions? Jaswaran, you can ask me any question related to the chapter. Like I can solve it. You want time, you tell me, I'll give you time as well. Okay. Okay. You all are not asking questions. So I think I will try to end the lecture. Just remember the definition of force, the parts of force, okay, the effects of force, and finally the types of force. So type में contact, non-contact, and contact का below में comes your friction and muscular force. Okay, so with that, let's end the lecture. Bye. And for people who are joining now, just go through the lecture once again, because I've been teaching the topic force and pressure, and in that, I've been teaching force. And if I have forgotten, please don't forget to register to Letstute and go through our channel, that is www.letstute.com. So, bye.